In this video, I want to share with you some heartbreak first aid tips that can help you get through the day-to-day, especially in the beginning of a heartbreak. These tips helped me immensely when I was going through a soul-crushing experience, and I want to share them with you because it's hard, it's brutal, and you deserve to feel good in your body and in your mind and in your soul. Okay, so the first thing is support. Find your friends. Co-regulation is a really important thing to have. Usually when we're heartbroken, we have lost somebody dear to us that we are used to getting a lot of physical support from. So even if it's just a hug a day or spending time around someone who cares about us and loves us, that can hold our hand or even like give a little shoulder rub. Hugs are really important. It helps our body to know that we are safe and we're not alone. The second thing that is incredibly useful and is often overlooked in these circumstances are supplements that can help with this. So our nervous systems get completely out of whack and out of line when we are under emotional distress, and heartbreak is amongst the top things that can lead us down a downward spiral emotionally. And we often see spikes in anxiety or deep depression. And there are some things that we can take that can help support this process and kind of get us on a better baseline. The first one that I highly recommend, and most of us are deficient in, is magnesium. So there are many magnesium supplements on the market. You can try some out, see what feels good to you. I like to put trace minerals in my water. I also enjoy the supplement Calm. I notice a change in my body right away, right after I take it. There's a lot of information out there about magnesium deficiency being synonymous with the symptoms of anxiety disorders. So what that says is, like, basically without magnesium, the electrical system of your body and your nervous system can't process stress chemicals properly, like cortisol and adrenaline. And those chemicals spike really hard when we're heartbroken and under a lot of emotional stress. So adding magnesium into our bodies helps our physical system break those chemicals down and get us back to a normal baseline. You just don't want to take too much of it because it is also a laxative. It's also a muscle relaxer, which, both can be good in certain circumstances. But if you take too much, just be very careful. You might just be very careful. But the muscle relaxing effect is really good. I like to take it in the morning. Some people like to take it at night. If you have a hard time sleeping, this can be really beneficial for you. And then just watch over time and see how you respond, like how much more relaxed you are. I've noticed if I don't take it for a period of time, I tend to have more anxious thoughts creeping in and tend to feel a little bit uptight. And that's never a good thing. There are also a number of nervine herbs that are extremely beneficial when going through a heartbreak crisis. Nervine herbs support the nervous system and they provide a calming and relaxing effect. So these are milky oat is a really good one, passion flower, lavender, skullcap, lemon balm. I hope you're taking notes. These nerves, like alone or in a blend, can be extremely helpful. You can take them throughout the day. There's not really side effects to them, but if you are on medications, or have any concerns, talk to your doctor about it. Hawthorn is an incredible one for heartbreak. So I ignored this advice for a long time to take hawthorn because I felt like my heartbreak was so massive that no little plant was going to do anything to assist what I was feeling and how I was wrong. And I wish I would have taken it earlier because it made such an incredible difference. It kind of stopped that hemorrhaging feeling in my chest. We're heartbroken. We feel like we're falling out of ourselves or bleeding out everywhere. And hawthorn kind of feels like it puts a nice bandage and kind of holds us together so you can do your day-to-day tasks without feeling completely overwhelmed or like a puddle on the floor. And it's okay to be a puddle on the floor sometimes. That's a necessary part of the grieving process, but we don't want to be in that state all the time, because then we can't live our lives. Mimosa is also an extremely helpful herb. It's a flower, grows on trees. It's really beautiful. It's this cute little pink, fluffy flowers that look like they're out of a Dr. Seuss book. But what that does is that it helps your serotonin levels, and it just brings about more positive thoughts, joy, a little bit heart opening, and it's soothing for sadness. So there have been studies done on heartbreak and where it affects the brain, and it does actually light up the same areas of your brain that are affected when you are in physical pain. So it's normal and common to feel physical pain when you're having heartbreak. So if it's extreme for you, they say you can take ibuprofen or a Tylenol if you just can't deal. Obviously, be careful, because those medicines over time can harm your organs. But if you are just completely overwhelmed in pain and you can't get to work, you cannot function, taking a little over-the-counter pain reliever is completely okay as well. One thing I learned and that I highly recommend is to cut down your caffeine intake, especially coffee. And I know this is hard because coffee can be so wonderful and so comforting in its own way. However, when you are heartbroken and under a lot of emotional distress, your cortisol and your adrenaline levels are amplified, or are running really hard through your system. So coffee makes that worse, right? And what happens is that, like, our emotions and our minds are interconnected. What we feel produces a thought, and what we think produces a feeling, and we can get in a cycle if we're not careful. And so a lot of caffeine, especially strong caffeine like coffee, sometimes green tea does this for people. You know your body best, so whatever can cause any anxiety, you might be extra sensitive to that at this time. Just watch and notice if after your coffee, if you feel more distressed, or if you start to have more anxious thoughts, especially towards yourself, thoughts of self-deprecation, if you're being mean to yourself, and if you just feel like you're in trouble or the whole world's against you, which is a very common thing to experience during heartbreak, because all of our wounds of being in trouble and being bad, get amplified in those times. And I've noticed personally, and with a lot of people that I know as well, that caffeine can amplify that. So I find that cutting back on caffeine and taking nervine herbs, things that are soothing to the nervous system, and magnesium are all extremely helpful in getting the self to a basic baseline of comfort and calm and peace. It's not going to make your heartbreak go away, but it will very much alleviate a lot of the pain and distress you are physically feeling. And when we are able to just feel more comfortable in our bodies, we're able to interact with life more, and then we can bring more joy in, have better experiences, actually do good things for ourselves, versus being paralyzed and spun out or dissociated. Okay, the third thing that is really good to do as part of your heartbreak first aid is movement. So just taking a walk is really helpful. So just a walk around your neighborhood or in nature, anything that's going to be stimulating your senses, right? You're going to be noticing things or people or trees or flowers or houses. Like, just really take in the information around you, and that's going to help you get into your body in the present moment now. Like, you're going to feel your feet walking, your heart rate's going to be moving, you're going to have that physical sensation of moving forward, which is really important, because often in heartbreak we're stuck in the past. We're wanting to rewrite the past. There's a lot of past that comes up in that experience. And so doing things that are movement oriented can help us get really present in our bodies and with what is actually happening around us in real time. That's very good for your psychology and for your physical well-being as well. Working out is really great. You're going to release a lot of endorphins that make you feel good. You'll feel strong. your blood's flowing, your heart's pumping. It's just generally going to make you feel physically a lot better. And I know it's so hard when you're feeling heartbroken because you want to disconnect from your body, right? Because it hurts being in there stuck. So movement's really good. Dancing also is amazing. You don't have to be good at it. You can turn on music in your living room or in your bedroom and just move to it. The movement of your body can help move emotions through. You can dance your emotions, like dance out your pain and writhe and make whatever facial expressions you want to. Okay, shaking is another really amazing movement practice you can do and actually can help move trauma out of the nervous system. So a lot of animals, whenever they're stuck in freeze, if they've had a traumatic experience, like they almost die, a lot of them will go into freeze and dissociate as a protective mechanism. We do this too. But an animal will usually shake it off afterwards. It's a way of kind of coming back into the body and releasing that charge from the nervous system. If you watch toddlers, they know really well how to do this. They throw a temper tantrum, right? It's like kicking and screaming and flailing. And obviously, we are conditioned out of that because it's a very unpleasant thing to be around. But if you allow yourself to do this in your own time, in your own space, it can be really helpful in discharging a lot of pent up energy, right? Because when we're heartbroken, there's pressure and there's intensity and sadness and stuckness and shaking or doing a little temper tantrum, crying, just moving those emotions through your system can really help you come out the other side more clear and more calm, and you're less likely to explode on other people or create more havoc in your life, right? Because those emotions need to move. So shaking them is really good. Like you start with your hands and then go in your arms and shake your head and your whole body and just do that as long as it feels good. Like you can bounce or just try it out and see what works for you. While we are talking about physical somatic practices, there are a couple more that can be really helpful. If you are in a moment of complete downward spiral, panic attack, mean self-abasing thoughts going on, there's a few things that you can do that are really helpful. One of them is called bilateral stimulation. It is the key, one of the key practices to EMDR therapy, but it can be really helpful just on your own. You don't even have to go deep with this. You could take a rock or an acorn or a small object, and I like something that's got a little bit of weight to it and kind of play around, see what feels comfortable. But all you do is just sit there and pass it back and forth between your two hands. Do it for like 2 minutes. So if you think about what's really bothering you and then you just sit and do this and breathe, you'll be surprised at how much it can help, right? This it gets your brain out of downward spiral loops. You can also cross your hands and pat your arms like this, or I'm gonna lift my knees up. You can pat your legs like this, crossed over, and just try that for a few minutes and see how you feel. The other thing that you can do is thymus thumping. I have a video on that on my channel. I'll link it below. But you just hit this part of your, I've got like a microphone and a necklace here. So this part of your sternum, you have a gland under here, the thymus gland, and if you tap it or thump it pretty hard, I like to, give it a good thumping with this part of my hand. It feels really natural there. Your body will release these chemicals that can have a really nice relaxing effect. You might notice even just a little bit of a difference is very helpful. And that's what we're going for here, is a little bit of improvement. I'm not saying this is going to completely heal you. It's not, but like a little bit of this every day when you're having those moments of like not knowing what to do or feeling completely overwhelmed. These little tricks can help so much. They're small, but big strides are made with baby steps, and these just really help to get you into a place where you can feel good, or at least a little bit better, and then you can go from there. And then your inner being who is in a lot of pain is actually feeling that love and that care coming through you and from you. And that is immeasurable. Like you keep doing that, and it has a really profound effect on like how you interact with yourself, how you interact with others, and also the kind of care that you're seeking in relationships moving forward. And finally, like I know these are a lot of action steps, it is also important to just be with yourself and be present and caring and loving in the pain, right? Like there are emotions that are so uncomfortable and physically painful to sit with. And a lot of times we just want to dissociate, we want to fix it, we want it to go away. And that whole saying of the only way out is through, I've discovered there's a lot of truth in that. And, like some kinds of somatic therapies are really helpful with this. Like one practice is just sitting there and noticing the sensations of your feelings, right? Like if you're feeling a lot of sadness, like what does that feel like? Without going into the whole story around it, just noticing the sensations in your body. Like, does it feel heavy or does it feel light? Does it feel dense or um, constrictive? Does it feel like pressure? Does it feel like butterflies? Does it have a color to it? Does it have a temperature? Does it have a texture? Like, it could feel like, I know for me, I felt like I had just broken glass all over the inside of my body, and every time I breathe, I can feel it, crunching on itself. Yeah, very unpleasant. Um, but just being in tune with the textures and the sounds and the colors of our feelings can help them to be acknowledged without, going into those thought emotion spirals that can take us into unwanted places if we're not careful. And this leads me to a really, really helpful technique of just holding yourself. Like, just give yourself a hug and love yourself. And you can sit there and just say, I love you, I love you, I love you as many times as you need to. That's actually really helpful. It might feel kind of silly. You might feel ridiculous at first, but over time, like you're going to hear yourself and it's going to feel really good and actually be really soothing. Um, Holding yourself, rocking is really good for the nervous system, right? Like that's how children are soothed. We're still soothed that way as adults. So do that for yourself. Rock, hold yourself. If you need to lay down in a fetal position and just like have yourself be in a safe space with a weighted blanket. All of that is really good and really healthy, especially in the first stages of heartbreak. Like you want to find ways to be as comfortable as you can in your body, because obviously it's extremely unpleasant when we're dealing with these events in life. And yeah, so do whatever you can to curb that. And I hope that this information is helpful to you. If you want to try any of these, and then let me know how it goes. If anything worked for you, I'd love to hear about it. So let me know in the comment section. And yeah, best of luck to you. Sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.